I want to welcome everybody to this MZN webinar. I hope you are well, I hope you are safe, and I hope your organization is continuing to do well to produce all this progress that we really do need in these very difficult times. My name is Chris. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this webinar, a very short webinar on how to build an NGO business relationship. We are a large number of people today, so please, by all means, help me out here by using the Q&A if you have questions. It's a bit of more of a difficult subject today, but if you have any questions on this, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom in order to ask any questions. I will try to get to some questions at the end of the webinar, where we can not answer them in time, we will certainly email you a response afterwards. Great. Few things on logistics. This webinar is recorded. If you cannot or want to review it or cannot attend right now, then you can absolutely download it later on our YouTube channels as well as the website. And then with that being said, let's dive right in. Quick question, if anybody cannot see the slides, it should have a picture of my face on it right now, please let me know, then there is a setting wrong. So we'll see if we can fix that for you. Good. Quickly about us, if you don't know MZN already, you know we are a social enterprise. We are here to help NGOs to be better funded, operate better and deploy much smarter strategies in this difficult, hot and crowded world. We operate as a social enterprise and many of our services are now subsidized as we progress with our plan to make more services subsidized or even free of charge by 2030, for example, with training for our existing partners that is largely free to many of them already. I am responsible myself at MZN for a lot of the innovative finance and the corporate partnerships world. My colleagues in the funding team, they're doing a lot of grant and fundraising from institutional donors, and in the advisory team, a lot of restructuring, helping NGOs operate better, with my specialism on and my focus on investor and corporate partners to NGOs, to the public sector as well. My colleagues thought I would be best placed to deliver a few insights on our experience over the last 10 years, 15 years since we've been doing this, and I hope that you find the following quite useful. As I said, any questions, pop them in the Q&A, sorry. Pop them in the Q&A, and even if we don't have much time afterwards, we will certainly email you an answer to that over the next couple of days. Good, let's get started. So the talking points today are very easy, so sort of very short agenda. This is a webinar of a short series. The feedback we've gotten from all the webinars is that you prefer shorter, sort of bullet, digestible knowledge points. So here we are. We quickly want to talk about the purpose of a corporate partnership, how to start it, how to evolve it, and share some lessons we have learned over the last 15 years in managing that. And let's dive right in. Now, the very, very, very important thing, and you can switch off afterwards if you need to, the most important thing here is that we always have to be very clear about why we partner. And there's this quote on the website as well, that one of the worst things NGOs can do is ask for a check, at least straight away. And I think that's really worthwhile bearing in mind. There are still many nonprofit organizations who see a corporate partner as a cash cow and nothing else, or nothing, and that is not the purpose, or not even the full benefit of a business to NGO relationship. And making the partnership straight away about fundraising is really limiting and kind of uninspiring to everybody. It ignores all these synergies and the potential in any starting partnership. So before we even start, I want to be very clear about what is this partnership for. And that changes pretty much everything. Our selection of the partner, the focus of the partnership, how we want to establish, manage, and evolve it. So the purpose, like in many things in life, is at the center of any good partnership. And I've listed out a few reasons here that we are starting this with some of our MZN partners, our NGO partners around the world, and they've come back and say, look, we have defined the purpose of this corporate partnership around any of these reasons. There are 1 to 6 listed here. I'll just pick up a few to illustrate. Number one, and what was the most common one, is most of MZN's partners are saying, we are benefiting from the corporate relationship we've helped establish to deliver better services to our users. Users is our word for beneficiaries. We don't like the word beneficiaries. So financial inclusion for women with a bank, for example. We have an NGO that works on livelihoods, and livelihoods includes, in this case, financial inclusion and financial access for women in East Africa. So a bank is a critical partner here. So that corporate partnership isn't just about fundraising, it's actually about extending the existing bank services to that corporate partner. Second quoted reason was advancing a shared goal. Sounds very lofty, becomes very, very practical very soon. For example, insuring against a climate risk. Through a insurance provider, we work with Swiss Re, for example, in East Africa to provide climate insurance to smallholder farmers. Swiss Re was very interested. It's the second partnership in that area, and is very interested in establishing into what they call frontier economies or developing countries, whichever term you prefer. But they need the expertise of the NGO, and the NGO needed the expertise of the insurance. So that's a shared goal in this particular instance, and it has worked for several years now at an impressive scale, actually. Another partner from MZN based in the Netherlands has come back to us and say it's all about product development for us. We want to learn, we want to innovate together. So we want to develop better youth training for the hospitality sector in this case. Again, this one is for Southern Latin America. And here the NGO said, we have a lot of youth unemployment. We do these training centers, but it's our partnership with the hospitality sector companies that has really made the difference. In a very pragmatic, very specific example here, we have NGOs that have partnered with the Hilton Foundation and the Hilton Corporate, who obviously have a large need for young staff because it's a very employment-intensive business operating as a global chain of hotels. Advancing this one a little bit faster, many organizations want to advocate and influence together, access new areas, geographic areas or thematic areas, and markets together, or mitigate the risk. So that are all good reasons for partnering with a corporate. Please note that none of these reasons at the very forefront include pure funding diversification or using the corporate partner as a cash cow. This is often part and parcel of this one, but it really cannot and should not be the purpose of it. Right. So therefore, my first tip today is to be very clear on why you want to partner with them. It is not enough. It's very clear that there is not enough grant money from the institutional donors or foundations in the world around to make serious progress towards the SDGs or the Paris Agreement. So yes, I get the diversification argument, but a purposeful and a clear partnership with a business expand, it's not just about the funding, but also really it's about expanding the circle of expertise, connections, people, and really the energy towards working towards these towards progress. Sorry. So you can get so much more from a partnership than just a few bucks. I think that has to be really, really clear that the purpose has to be centric, and how we manage this one we'll dive into in a second. Okay, I'm going to close this one for new entrants. There we are. So very pragmatically, how do we go about it? After we've identified, and we're going to look into this one in a second, after we've identified how we partner with a corporate, we need to manage the partnership. So, and we've summarized this into 6 steps. I'm not making the assumption that these are exclusive or that these steps even are all equal in every partnership, but they are a common thread throughout all the partnerships that we've helped establish with our NGO partners around the world. So Number one, as I said, we identify the alignment with the cause. So where is the focus area of the partnership? Where are the synergies? I've mentioned the bank and the financial inclusion project, or agriculture and fertilizer producers. Where can the users and both partners, so I mean with both partners, I mean the NGO on the one side and the corporate on the other side, where can they actually benefit from both? We want to engage in thorough due diligence at this point. So once you've identified a partner, before you even reach out, it's worthwhile asking, is it wise to partner here? Are there any reputational or financial or managerial issues that ought to be considered? Can we manage this partnership? Are there any reputational damages or implications of this? I'm sure there are lots of companies and partners you don't want to corporate partner with. And who do you want to partner with? Again, business is not a monolith. They are as diverse as this world. So please make sure that you do some proper due diligence. If you need it, we do have a partner due diligence checklist. If you are an MZM partner, you have access to that already. And if you have questions around that process, by all means, reach out and I'll connect you to my relevant colleague. As I said earlier, you want to establish very clear partnership goals. So they define specific, very measurable, so smart objectives for the partnership, clarifying expected outcomes for both parties. This way, this is not just a feel-good partnership, but something that a project and a program you want to do together. As in everything, open communication channels are incredibly important. So setting up this regular communication method, discuss updates, challenges, share progress, really essential. It is not enough to just, whoops, I'm sorry, some problems here. There we go. It is not enough to simply catch up as it happens, as things progress, but you need to do this regularly in order to build trust and transparency. Second to last, you want to have a structured partnership agreement. So this doesn't always need to be in writing. It very often and most of the time is, but internally at least, you want to have an outside agreement, and then internally you need to assign responsibilities. So what I mean with internally is on the basis of a partnership agreement outside, you need to reflect your duties internally, assigning responsibilities for clear roles internally. Who's responsible for what? Who's doing the regular contact? Who's doing knowledge sharing? Who's doing any joint programming? Who's taking care of the financials, etc., etc., etc. If that all stands with one person in your organization, then there's an incredible key man risk. I highly recommend distributing that a bit so that we don't have the problem I'm going to mention later of key man loss, and which has destroyed more than just one partnership. And then obviously you want to leverage each other's strength. So again, I mean between the NGO and the corporate partner. And each one of you has unique resources or skills that both can benefit from to enhance impact. Very often for our NGO partners, this is a well-developed, long-established presence in the country or in the market that they're operating in with a grassroots access, whereas for the corporate, this is scale. Yes, the financial resources, that is part and parcel of it. It's often product innovation, energy, or even simply facilities to use. So all of these things can be each other's strength. Listing them out clearly and saying, this is what we want, is a really good advantage. Right, so here's a very, very pragmatic tip then, and I'm hoping this somehow makes sense. Here in the middle is who you work for. So I've used two examples from two of our partners. We've got an NGO, for example, that work with farmers in East Africa, or this already mentioned youth organization in Latin America. So here's the middle. They will have a youth programming. This is all about capacity building, employment boosting, training, etc., technical vocational training, or of course the farmers. Now, a good way to identify a partner and then go through the 6 steps I've already mentioned, a very good way for that is simply to go down the supply chain or up the value creation chain. And anybody who's ever done, the first semester of business will know what that is. I'm using these two specific examples to be very concrete. In this particular case, for example, our partner organization works with farmers, and we have just said, what do farmers actually need? They buy a lot of fertilizers, and these fertilizer producers, I've mentioned a few here, are again buying chemical agricultural products, magnesium, nitrate, and all the things that go into fertilizers. And we've just listed them out, and these ones we've mentioned here is the one we've built corporate partnerships with them. It takes about a year, to be honest. So this is not a short-term measure. You need to build a relationship, and then you eventually get off to a joint program, which often needs defining as well. So the farmers here then have this supply food chain. Very often the farmers themselves know the fertilizer producers. Sorry again. And the fertilizer producers themselves know the chemical agriculture product. So they know each other, so you can just ask. If you go up the food chain, up the value creation chain in this particular, you have these distributors or the bulk buyers or the wholesale buyers, and finally the shipping and export agents. Again, where you're programming a lines with them, for example, for off-seasonal pricing, so the farmers can achieve a higher price for their products, you can actually work with these guys directly if you've done your due diligence. It is not true that they're always looking for the cheapest price, of course. But if there's a sensible strategy here, then we have found to create very good partnerships. For example, we are currently in conversation with one of them in Southeast Asia, where the distributor sponsors or co-sponsors the production of food storage so that they can buy in more smaller quantities throughout the year at a better price for the farmers. Same thing with the youth. You can think about this as well, about any subject. So you can start with who you work for here and then map out the market in which they are. And I just want to show you a complete product map from Nigeria that can get quite complicated, but it is very useful when you want to create a, when you want to identify who to partner with. So that's the next very complicated thing here. No need to copy this down or understand it even slowly, but here is a list of handlers of, in this case, chocolate producers in Nigeria and around Nigeria. I'm just mentioning a few, from the farmer associations to the domestic grinders, the salespeople, the retailers here, some local consumers. Then you have multinational brokers, shipping lines, grinders in the EU and USA, the manufacturers of chocolates and other products outside Nigeria here, outside Africa. Inside, you have a ton of smallholder farmers that very often you may work with or for. You have collection and bagging producers. So these are all companies and organizations and individuals who are in the supply chain and the value creation chain of chocolate. There are social services involved, as you can see by the yellow lines, from the farmers towards the farmer association, by the international producers. There's flows of monies involved. There is a flow of the actual product involved. So mapping that out is a very useful exercise. Very often you can find those product maps already, at least at this very high level. Now, if you then work with smallholder farmers, then it's quite easy to pick a type of supplier from this map. If you say, for example, that the farmer associations are very critical, or if you say actually the individual buyers are not so important, much more, sorry, know what's happening today. Much more important are the domestic chocolate manufacturers, then you can directly choose them as a potential target for a corporate partnership. And the question of how you can improve your smallholder farmers' life by working directly with the domestic chocolate producers is pretty obvious. You can probably design an interesting program once you've identified that without too much effort. Good, moving on. So I hope that helps as a way for you to sort of select. You don't need to create this market map. As I said, very often you can find it online and use it as inspiration of who to select. So, and I think almost finally, last but not least, as I said, this is one of the short series. We want to share with you some of the lessons we've learned. So we have a lot of Amsterdam NGO partners who look for the largest, well-known international businesses straight away. We are straight going to the Unilever and the Daimler or Volkswagens and things like that. But actually looking for a mid-sized company first on the basis of this, I'm showing you again, of this market map to inspire you can be a much better strategy because many of these organizations are owner managed. And owner managed companies are often quicker to decide. It's just easier to manage the relationship with. The owner can often make a decision there and then. There's not often a very defined budget. If it's a sensible investment, they do it. So an example here is, again, our agriculture partner in East Africa. And they operate and cooperate now with nut processors. So macadamia nut processors, for example, to promote women employment and youth training. You can see where this is a sensible overlap. It was much faster to discuss this with a medium-sized, smallish company that is owner-managed. And of course, the financial benefits are there. Given the lower amount of time and effort required to establish this partnership, I would strongly recommend going for that mid-sized thing first, even though the payoffs might not be quite as big, but the effort is lower as well. Our second lesson we've learned over the last 10 years or so is that establishing a corporate partnership is only half the work. Evolving it is absolutely key. So one of our NGO partners in Southeast Asia has met this corporate partner, and they meet them about every 3 months, almost like clockwork. They're concentrating them on storytelling. Every 3 months, they go there with a slide deck showing their impact management and their joint product development. They're trying to produce a new product in the financial markets. So this partnership has really redefined both organizations. And both organizations are, to a degree now, codependent. It doesn't need to be extended or sold to anymore every year. Both organizations are very much down into the product development, so deeply ingrained that a dissolving of the partnership is almost unthinkable. And I think what they've done really well is evolve the partnership, manage it easier after they've established it. Whereas many of our partners also sort of, they get a signature done on the structured partnership agreement, and then they lean back and think, oh, that's done. And I think it's worthwhile reminding that establishing a partnership is only half the work. Cool. Then what I mentioned earlier, we want to be very careful about a change in personnel. There needs to be, a partnership is really only ever as strong as the personal connections are. So for example, our partner in Ukraine has lost connection to a really established financial sector organization after the management at both organizations has switched. And nothing bad happened. They were working just fine. People leave as they sometimes do, they move on. But purely by the fluctuation of staff, they've lost a good connection and ultimately the partnership. And I think that's a real shame, and that needs to be really managed, again, like in my second example. And then obviously, finally, you really want to regularly reevaluate and reconfirm your commitments. So, keeping everybody aligned, meeting them frequently, adjust the goals, adjust the plans as goals or resources change. Absolutely essential. Sort of goes for that management of the relationship, similar to my second point. Once again, essential to manage that very actively, even after it's been established. Good. Let's check quickly on time. Oh, I've got 4 minutes left only. Okay, it's a bit tight today. That's it. That's our top tips and reasons for how to build a partnership. So now that you've done it, you need to, as I said, start working on it and evolve it. If you got any questions in your current partnership, how you do that, please let us know. I'll forward your question to my relevant colleague, and then we get it done. I also want to thank our funding partners who we work with to boost their funding for contributing to this little survey we've done in advance of this webinar, and to share with us their experience of working with us. So if you are a funding partner joining in right now, thank you very much for contributing to that, and I look forward to continue working with you. Now it's time for questions. I'm not sure if the Q&A, I need to check it up if anybody submitted any question on the Q&A. As I said, we only have a few minutes left, but if we don't get around to it, I will email the answers back later. A couple of announcements. I'm very pleased to say that my colleague Nicole has established and launched our 2025 training courses on right-winning proposals, sustainable income for NGOs, as well as impact investment, using AI for proposal writing. So there are some exciting new courses out there that you can book on the website right now, as well as online and offline, including new locations in Southeast Asia right now for 2025. They do book out pretty fast. So I think they want in Q1, I've already heavily booked. So please do make sure that you book yourselves in to avoid disappointment. That's, I think, pretty much is it. Our blog has also been updated with an interesting piece on impact investments and innovative finance. Again, something beyond grants funding. There's definitely the way things are going, particularly with all the developments in the US right now. So do check it out on the Inside section. And I think that's pretty much it. The last webinar, or second to last webinar, I believe, this year will be on the 27th of November. About leadership in the 21st century by my colleague Hande is delivering that. She has been working with NGO leaders all year again and wants to share some insight there, which I am looking forward to. Excellent. Now, thank you very much for listening. We've got a minute and a half left, which is not really enough for questions. But let's have a quick look at what we have. So I'll just take the last question that came in just now, completely random. Shah, you have, thanks very much for the question. You've just asked how to monitor the planned activities agreed by the partner. And thanks for the presentation, Jinnah. Jinnah, you're very welcome. The monitoring can happen as quickly and as easily as a spreadsheet or with expected activities. What I see, though, time and time again, is that a partnership is agreed. Everybody feels like, great, we're doing this, and then the partnership doesn't kick off. There's no plan behind it. There's no time plan behind it. There's no regular update behind it. It is really worthwhile reminding that establishing a partnership is half the work. The other half is managing it. And you can manage the plan, you can monitor these planned activities simply with a spreadsheet or a Word document where you define milestones or key results. I think that's pretty much straightforward. I can see that there are some attendees from Indonesia, and I've got a lot of questions on the private channel here as well. I'll get back to those by email tonight. I'm also in Indonesia next month, so hopefully see you there in person. That'd be wonderful. If there are any other questions that because I can't get around to them right now, I was told to keep it to half an hour, which we are on right now, then please email me. You have my email address in there. These slides will be shared with you in the next couple of days on the website. I hope you found this small webinar, a little bit of inspiration, useful and pragmatic. That's the sort of thing we're going for here. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much and have a great day and stay healthy. Goodbye for now.